I mean, really, all I've done is played Animal Crossing every day, and then SteamWorld Dig 2 has been my other obsession.
That game is so
it's
good,
awesome,
man.
It's awesome.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I was playing some more. That was the one game I played today to kind of refresh my memory a little bit, because I was like, it's been a little while because I got sucked into Sayonara and Ape Out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I'm glad I went back to this, because it's like, it's so easy to like for a game to just fall by the wayside.
Yes.
And like, I'm glad I started using that grappling hook again, and I was like, okay, I forgot that this game is just fucking amazing.
I am a fucking sucker for a grappling hook, but that goes back to my old Worms days with the ninja rope. I just love that mechanic for some reason, in any game that has it. Love it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 52, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey everybody.
And that's it. It's just gonna be the two of us tonight.
That's right.
Randall and I back in the day did a few practice episodes.
Yes,
I think
sir.
like 4 or 5. I think we did just to get everything all set up.
4 classics.
I think, yeah, exactly. We're throwing it back. We're throwing it back to the good old days. So. Back when John and DJ weren't in our hair.
Yeah.
But but all jokes aside, yeah, we still locked down under quarantine, and everyone's got kind of hectic schedules going on right now. Randall and I are kind of geeking out about a few things that we've been playing lately, and just kind of hacking forward as we figure things out with this new world that we live in.
Excited to hack forward on these video games.
Indeed. Yeah, and as always, we're here to talk about video games. And Randall, why don't you kick us off a little bit with like your daily routine that you're apparently still in the middle of?
Yes, my daily therapy routine, and Tina's too, which is more Animal Crossing, New Horizons.
Yes.
And it should show you how important it is to us that, like I said before, I have this on cartridge, and I was still am playing SteamWorld Dig 2 also on cartridge, and I'm literally taking the time to take out one cartridge, closing the game first, of course, because if you don't, then the Switch yells at you. But taking the time.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this about SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yeah.
And I'm playing it on Xbox, so I don't know for sure if it does this on Switch, but like when you're quitting the game and you go to exit I'm so mad I didn't mention this when we were talking about the game. I wrote it down. This is the only note I wrote down about this game. But when you quit the game, when you go to exit the game, exit to the main menu, it says, "Are you sure you want to quit? It's been 0 minutes and 5 seconds since your last autosave." Like it literally tells me the exact number of seconds since it last saved. So I know, like, sometimes a game will say, "Are you sure you want to quit? You'll lose all unsaved data." But that means I don't know when the last time I saved was, or maybe I do, maybe I don't. But this is like, this should, in my opinion, this should be in every video game that at least that has this kind of save mechanic or autosave. Like, it's so, I gotta imagine that's pretty easy to implement, to just say, show X amount of time since your last save. And that's got to be pretty easy to pop in there. But that was a huge benefit to me, where I'm just like, wait, I bought all that stuff. Like, there's some games that I've played where I like Children of Morta, I think it was, where I like unlocked a bunch of stuff and then I quit after that. And then I opened it again and I'm like, wait, why do I have all this money? Oh, it didn't save any of the shit I unlocked. And it's just tedious, where this is like, I know, okay, did it save that? Okay, I'm going to enter the mine again real quick just to make sure that it auto saves, But I appreciate that. But now I'm just huge sidetrack there.
Well, this shows the difference between me and you, Kevin, because I've never seen that message.
Well, so maybe it's not on the Switch. I am playing on Xbox.
Well, no, I see that it auto saves after I go to a new area, or I go back up to the quote unquote surface in SteamWorld Dig 2. And after it auto saves or whatever, I just flip back to the home menu and I close that sucker.
No way, man. I need to quit the game within the game. So you got to quit the game in the game.
No.
Go to the main menu.
I ain't got time
and
for
then
that.
Go to the Switch home screen. It's a step process.
Nope. See, it auto saves. Hit that home button. Hit that X button. Hit that A button. That sucker's closed, and it saved my progress. It better have.
after we lost that Baba Is You episode, I'm not taking any chances with my autosaves, okay?
Rest in peace, episode 30.
Exactly. So I'm not taking any chances. So thankfully, SteamWorld Dig 2 doesn't, I don't have to take any chances. It tells me. So
you stay very safe.
Huge sidetrack there. I apologize to derail that Animal Crossing conversation.
That was my fault. I got into the minutiae of talking cartridges. So,
well, no, but I'm glad you're still playing SteamWorld Dig 2. We'll definitely have to talk about that some more because I'm still hacking away at that as well.
Hell yeah. No, but that's all that to say is like I love playing Animal Crossing, and Tina does too. Every single day that I'm making sure that I put the physical cartridge back in the Switch and go through that process every single day. And like it is an everyday routine, and it is therapy, especially with all this stress around quarantine that just like can feel sometimes like it builds over time. Animal Crossing is just like this release valve where you can just be in that world. You can do your routine minutia that makes you feel good, where like you go to the ATM in World, the ABD, and you get your little miles that you have to get for, every day that you do it, you get kind of a miles bonus for logging in every day. You go through, you get your fossils every day. Typically there's like 3 or 4 on your little island. You get those. You comb the beach, see if there's a bottle, see what the news is for the day, what Isabel's got going on. It's a fun little routine, and it's something that Tina and I like talk about. Oh, did you see this? Oh, we got that new villager. Like we just got this villager, Raymond, who everybody like loves and is obsessed with. And I'm sad that John's not here because I kind of want to. I know that John would know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Yeah, I'm just like Raymond. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess everybody loves him, but
no shit. People pay real money on eBay to get this Raymond character. And
I did see that. I saw that. Yes. Like I saw that somewhere where people are like, it's $1,000 for Raymond, and it's like a penny for a gallon of oil right now. Or so. It was something comparing like the price of oil and Raymond.
But we're like, whoa, hey, it's Raymond. He's got he's a very suave little animal
from previous games in the series, or
I think he has been in previous ones potentially, but he's just another one of many characters you could get on your island. And he just so happened to be the one that moved in after we set up this kind of like tourist campsite. We're kind of playing it still pretty slowly compared to a lot of people I follow on social media who are just like blitzing through, like
compared to John, probably,
right? Compared to John and a lot of other people that I follow that are like just like smashed through the main like story progression and like upgrade progression stuff, and I'm just like, we're gonna take our time. We're taking this slowly, and I mean, it helps that we have Fiona, who's like 20 months old, so like we just don't have the time necessarily to smash through it as quickly either.
Right.
But it's just
that's probably leading to a better experience, like just pacing it out. Like you guys were already saying, you and John, like the game itself is already kind of paced out as it is,
totally
on a daily routine. But then on top of that, when you're having to kind of self-enforce restrictions, that's I don't know. That I'm glad to hear that this is still. I don't know. It's easy for these kind of daily routine games or whatever, Stardew Valley, anything in this genre or general genre. It's easy for those things to kind of fall by the wayside and whatnot. So I'm glad to hear that you're still sucked in. And again, they've updated it a bunch even since release, right? It's only been about a month or so.
Yeah, and they just put out a huge content update, which I haven't really been able to sink my teeth into too much, although Tina has a little bit. So I'm like, that's another fun thing of like, oh man, there's bushes now. You already bought some from like this new guy we never seen before. Like there's just like every day there's something like that's going on. That's just like a fun other thing to kind of talk about and geek about. So yeah, it's just like, it's so much fun.
Yeah. I still, again, I know I kind of have like not trashed on the game or anything. I haven't even played it, like I've said before, but it's definitely like, I'm still getting enjoyment out of scrolling through Twitter and again seeing, hey, Raymond's going for $1,000. Yeah. how much more expensive is Raymond than a gallon of oil or a drum of oil?
And all the other like culture on social media around Animal Crossing, like everyone doing the album art stuff with KK Slider.
Oh,
and
that was amazing. That was amazing.
It's great.
So many great ones, especially like the ones that were kind of underground. Like, okay, there's a bunch of mainstream ones, but then it's like, oh, here's a little Sufjan Stevens or a little. I guess he's not that underground, but
compared
there were there were tons, just so much, and so many just very talented people. Like,
totally,
you could clearly see. Like, did you see the Neutral Milk Hotel in the aeroplane over the sea one?
Yeah.
And that was clearly like it wasn't like, they just replaced a couple images.
No,
like,
someone drew
Photoshopped. It was like they painted or drew this whole thing.
Yes.
And like all the background and kind of tweaked it a little bit. Some of them did just plop a Photoshop thing in, but like, it was, some of those were just, it made my day the other day. It was really fun scrolling through that. So yeah, the community around this game just seems great.
It's really good.
If you have some friends to play with, which apparently I do, and I'm still avoiding the game, but Kevin, maybe I need to still just jump on it. But I don't know. I'm just torn. I'm on the fence, apparently.
Yeah, you won't get a sale now. It's like one of Nintendo's hottest selling games, so they ain't going to put that sucker on sale anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe when the quarantine gets lifted, we'll get a sale on the game if that ever happens.
Right.
Well, are you going to wrap up the Animal Crossing there, Randall? Or
yeah, for now.
So yeah, I know last week we talked a little bit about SteamWorld Dig 2, and I've been getting a lot of use out of that, use out of my Game Pass subscription, SteamWorld Dig 2 thankfully being part of that service. But I've also been spending a lot of time, or a decent amount of time, with Journey to the Savage Planet, which also is a more recent addition to the Xbox Game Pass. And this game was actually put on my radar by John, who like a while back in our little Google Hangouts thread suggested, like, hey, when this game goes on Game Pass, or when this game comes out, like, let me know. Or I don't know, for some reason he mentioned the game, just this game looks cool. And that was the reason it was on my radar. So when it got added to Game Pass, the name caught my eye or rung a bell, and I was like, oh, I got to check this game out. And it's like a first-person shooter,
right?
Which is not a genre I play a ton of. I've played stuff like BioShock Infinite. We're the least two likely people to have on this first-person shooter. But it's not anything like most first-person shooters. It's actually a lot more like Metroid Prime.
Right.
You're getting a ton of different abilities. You actually have a scanner visor that, like, you scan the planet, and you kind of land on this planet. It's kind of a mix between Metroid Prime and, at least, I guess I shouldn't say I don't know how many elements of like No Man's Sky or Astroneer this is incorporating into it, but it's kind of what I wanted out of those games.
Okay.
And, I know I mentioned those on the podcast,
and
was like, oh, I'll follow up on those, and I never did, and that's because I never really got sucked into those games.
Right.
And this game is, I don't know, it's really interesting. The tone is really interesting. It's kind of like splitting the difference between like Borderlands, but without being too obnoxious.
Yeah, because that's a red flag when you say something like that.
For me too, yeah. But I hate the tone. Like when that little robot rolls up and it's just like, I don't want to hear any of that shit.
No, it's so try-hardy.
Stand it. Yes, agree. This game is actually pretty funny. Like it's like there's cutscenes. Like you're on this world, and there's actually real life actors in it.
Okay,
like, so it's like real full motion video.
Wow,
it's kind of similar to like WALL-E. Like when you see like Fred Willard in the background and he's like the president and like talking, it's kind of like the videos are kind of have a little bit of that tone.
Okay.
But with like a little bit of that Borderlands over the topness injected, but not too much. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny every time. And you can stop the videos, but there'll be like these weird commercials for like products that are some kind of slime and so all kinds of weird stuff. And then they'll like the president just seems like kind of this crazy guy, like out of his mind.
Yeah.
But essentially you crash land on this planet and you're trying to get off of it, and it has like just some light elements, like some of the enemies you kill have carbon and silicon and different materials that you can then use to craft things at your ship. So it has like a little bit of that loop of like finding things and crafting things, but nowhere near to the extent of that open-endedness. Like it still is a very crafted, at least I'm about 5 or 6 hours in, and it's very much like a Metroid Prime thing, like I mentioned. Like it's like I'm getting new abilities. Like I just got like a grappling hook, and now I got these new, like I can get these like I forget what they're called, but there's some type of seeds that I can throw at a certain type of wall that will then spawn a little thing that is now a grappling hook point that I can grab.
Ooh.
And kind of like SteamWorld Dig 2, you
cool.
can not only grapple to it, but you can grapple and hold on to that grapple point. And so this game is actually really, even though it's a first-person shooter, again, what made me think of Metroid Prime, other than like the scanning and stuff like that, is like it's pretty platform heavy too. Like you're doing a lot of jumping. You get a double jump, a little bit of that Titanfall vibe with like your sense of momentum.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of those, like the things that you and I, even though neither you and I, Randall, got sucked into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 all the way.
Right.
But one of the things that I think we both liked about that game was like how the world just kind of felt alive.
Yeah.
Like the animals and enemies are just kind of roaming around. And
definitely.
This game is like that as well. You're just kind of, exploring the lay of the land, and they'll just be like these animals that mostly ignore you, and they're just kind of like making all kinds of weird noises, and like the ecosystem just feels alive. But then you'll sometimes just fall into a path where like, oh, there's like these weird like scorpion lizard monsters, and like these enemies are super tough, but for the most part there isn't a ton of that going on.
Right.
There's a lot of the enemies you can kill, you almost feel bad, like they're like these little like round like puffer fish. Well, they're birds or something, but they kind of look like puffer fish.
Yeah.
But when you kill them, you get carbon. I think it's just carbon, but maybe some silicon as well. But you can almost feel bad because they don't really try to damage you. They don't do anything to you unless you fuck with them first.
Yeah.
But there's like all kinds of little like puzzle things, and like you get new abilities that allow you to open new areas. But there's like also like there's these little like doorways that you have to solve little puzzles to unlock, and new abilities. And there's kind of like little fast travel. So it really is playing like a 3D Metroidvania. Again, I'm not super far into the game, but it's seeming like it's going to be a somewhat mildly shorter experience. It's not going to be some 50, 60-hour experience. Like I'm really loving it. And again, I'm not somebody who loves first-person shooters, but like the last time I played, I got to a boss battle of some kind that I didn't see coming, and it wasn't even like framed. There wasn't any kind of opening cutscene. It was just like I got to this area, and all of a sudden there was this huge like monster, and like it did have these kind of like pattern memorization mechanics that I had to dodge its attacks and stuff. And I didn't see that coming at all. And it was just like, I did a stream of like, I played probably about an hour and a half, and then I did another stream for another like hour and a half or two of the game.
Yeah.
And then I've played just like a tiny bit more since then, and definitely was just like, once I played more, I was like, man, this game just keeps opening up more and more. I think I'm just going to continue to like stream, or maybe not always stream, but just kind of record as I play this.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm just having a ton of fun. It's really like a really great mix of all those games I mentioned, I guess, with the caveat being that I don't have a ton of experience with any of those games, the Metroid Prime games or No Man's Sky or Astroneer. Like it's all kind of surface level experience.
But this is the one that hooked
I'm
you.
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
and it's like it's really just so bright and colorful. And
I love how this game looks. Just from screenshots and like little bit of video that I've seen, I'm like, ooh, I like how this looks. That touch of like vibrant color and
yes,
it's
nice.
And
it's actually funny. Like it's I almost feel bad that I compared it to Borderlands earlier, because it is actually funny. Like
right.
Almost every time that it's trying to make me laugh, I at least have a little smirk on my face or a chuckle.
Nice.
Again, certain things will repeat again and again, and that gets kind of old, but again, you can just stop those videos when they loop. But there's even the little comments of like when you die and you start back, like, you kind of respawn and you get reconstructed at the spaceship or whatever. Just all the little commentary that your little helpers have, your little like Navi-esque character. It's all like, it's well written. It's pretty funny. Awesome. It's well voice acted. It's well delivered. And this game is just the full package from what I've played so far. I mean, I'll have to see it to the end or however far I get. But I'm sucked in. I'm really, really loving it, and the platforming and stuff. Like
that part surprises me. Like first person platforming, and you have not said a single bad thing about that aspect. Like
it feels great, especially once you get that double jump.
Yeah,
and you get the grappling hook, and you get these abilities that just and even when you go into like the scanning visor mode, just the way like the world looks, like everything's just in these like grid like graph paper yellow and black outlines. Like it just looks really cool, and like I don't know, the whole game just feels alive. Even the intro, like the way like the title screen kind of pops up like while you're playing the game.
Yeah,
I think I posted a video of that on Twitter, and like it just like, I don't know, man. This is the real deal. This game is the full package, and if you have Game Pass, definitely need to check this game out. But even still, like, I think this is a game that, you know, it has that AAA sense of polish, but I think it's a shorter game. So I think it's something that's only like $30 or $40. It's not like a full $60 game.
Yeah.
Like full retail price. I could be wrong on that.
$30
but I think it's like $30.
Yeah, $30.
And again, Game Pass, no brainer. But if you don't have the Game Pass subscription and you're looking to check this game out, I would say if you're into just about any of the stuff I mentioned, again, with the caveat being that I haven't played a ton of those games, and it nowhere near has like the open-endedness of like No Man's Sky or Astroneer or anything like that.
Right.
But it
there's some comfort in that too, though, right? Like, this is a more crafted, driven experience, and that's okay too.
I think for you and I, Randall, I think that's typically what we're looking for. I don't want to speak for you, but for me, for sure, like as soon as I realized like this isn't like in my head, Journey to the Savage Planet, I just almost had it in my head that it was going to be like this Pokemon-esque adventure, like collect a bunch of stuff and do all this. That was what I kind of pictured in my head. And when it was like, oh, this is like a well-crafted, like honed experience, like and man, I just love the vibe of this game. Like it just feels so alive.
Yeah.
And I just can't express it enough. So yeah, I uploaded a video onto Twitch and YouTube. So definitely check that out. It's early gameplay stuff, no spoilers. Or at least not much of spoilers. You know, if you're really like, hey, I don't want to see anything, then I guess there'd be some, 3 hours into the gameplay. But if you're just kind of wanting to get a little taste of what the game has to offer, definitely worth checking out, and definitely just highly recommend this game. Can't wait to play more of it.
That's awesome. Man.
Yeah.
I really want to check that out now too. Shoot. And it's been so long since I've played anything like really first person perspective. So that has a lot of appeal to me too. Like,
it's probably been since BioShock Infinite for me, since I really got sucked in. What about you, first person wise? Like, have you played anything between then, or?
Jeez. No, I don't think so. I play them so rarely now. Like back in the day, I got super sucked into like Call of Duty 4. But that was,
or even like, what about like Skyrim? Years. Do you play stuff like that?
I did play some Skyrim. I did buy that on Switch when that came out, and I got sucked into that a little bit. I probably put like 10 hours, but yeah, even that, I guess
that's a totally different type of experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's why it didn't come to mind, because it's like not like a first person shooter, but it is a first person perspective.
Yeah, and I think you can even play in third person in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can.
But another game that you and I have both played, Randall, although for me, for the first time, you hyped this game up a little bit when we talked about it on the podcast before, and I finally got around to playing Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah.
And this game came out, I think, originally on Apple Arcade, part of that subscription service, and then shortly thereafter came out on Switch and possibly on other platforms. I'm not sure, but Switch is where both you and I played it, Randall.
Yep.
And
I'm almost positive it's on PS4 at least as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And this is like I actually did a stream of this game as well, which pretty much did no commentary on that. Just kind of did a brief introduction and then just played through the whole game
for good reason.
As like and it's about it's a short game. You know, it's about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
And it is kind of difficult to describe, and it's something that you kind of like. If it catches your eye, this is what I'll just say off the top, is that if it catches your eye graphically and stylistically, or if the music catches your ear, just buy it. Just get this game or play it. If you have Apple Arcade, you don't even need to buy it. Just play it via that service. But like, I would almost want to know nothing going into this game. And you talked about it on the podcast, but again, there's no way to really even put this game into words, at least.
Yeah. I think it was pretty abstract when I talked about it, because like how do you explain this experience? Well, even
because and I'm glad you said that, because it is more of an experience than it is a game, I would say. Although you do have, it's kind of like a blend of like Crazy Taxi meets Guitar
Rez.
Hero meets Rez,
Panzer
meets-
Dragoon kind of
like
vibes. some in
on
there.
rails,
Yeah.
kind of in most cases at least. But like, there's tons of different, even like just the twists on those mechanics.
Yep.
But like for the most part, you're kind of riding on this motorcycle or some kind of magic carpet or
Going
whatever
into
it
the
might be.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
for the
like
most
kind of third person, but sometimes first person
Yep.
perspective. And like it just kind of, it's a very art, like it's as I was playing this game, I was actually kind of thinking like, isn't it hilarious that at one point in time people used to be like, are games art?
Yeah.
Can a video game be art? And it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, this game just shatters that.
Yeah.
And many games before it, it's
Oh,
not like
of
this is
course.
the first game to be, but I mean, this is like an experience. And the thing that I will say, you know, at the top, I kind of said, you know, if the art style and the music catches your eye. What I will say is that the music in this game is probably something that wouldn't catch my ear immediately.
Right.
It's not something I would picture myself
first.
listening to by choice or
Yeah.
whatever. But in the experience of the game, and even there, like after the fact, I've gone and listened to these
Yep.
tracks. They are just amazing.
They're
And I don't know if it's
fantastic.
because I'm remembering the experience of like all the visuals going along with it. But just the way it's implemented into this game and the way even like when you do make a mistake, there's no real fail states, but like if you do mess up, it kind of just resets to the last little like checkpoint.
But that alone is enough of a penalty, I think, when you're playing this. You want a smooth experience because it stops the music track and it like brings it back and it like pulls you out of the flow. So there's that
Yes.
extra incentive to not make a mistake while you're playing it, just to like keep it going, get in that flow of the song and like the visuals. It's this whole crafted experience that you don't want to break for any
Correct.
reason.
Yeah.
So
it
that
is-
alone adds a difficulty to some degree, just because you're like, I don't want to mess this up just because I'm in like a flow state and everything feels great.
Yeah, and the gaminess, I guess, comes from the fact that like each level does have like, I would say for the most part, like through there's a bronze, a silver, and a gold rank for
Yep.
each level.
Queen
Every
Latifah
level
gives you a
except-
rank.
What's that?
Queen Latifah gives you a rank.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She does a good job
And-
too.
Yeah, it's solid. There's not a ton of voice acting
Yeah.
or narration or whatever, but what she does is solid.
Yeah.
And I would say like through the majority of the experience, I got like maybe one or two bronzes, the majority of silvers,
Yeah.
and one gold. Later in the game, oddly enough. But I've been
Yeah,
going
that's-
back and trying to go for some more golds.
Yep.
And I think I've gotten like gold on the first like 5 or 6 tracks.
Yep.
And
I
they
think I'm in
really
the same
do.
boat.
Yeah, and they really do play like tracks. You know, some of them are a little bit longer that are maybe like 3-4 minutes. Some of them are probably sub 2 minutes or so.
And I mean, that's how the game's structured too. It's structured as an album, and each level is a track. Like that's that's purposely how it's designed. This is like an album, and at its core, this is a music album that's been like that they've then crafted a video game around. But it's blended so seamlessly that you can't tell, like, is it chicken or the egg? Like,
correct. That's a great, yeah. It's like, which one is it? Which one
Yeah.
came first? You wouldn't know.
yeah,
Like, was it that they wanted to make a music based game,
right.
and that was what spawned the idea, or was it just that they had these awesome songs and they're
Right.
like, hey, it'd be kind of cool if we put a game to this?
Yeah,
And it doesn't fall flat on either avenue.
yeah. Because like you, I'm not a huge pop music fan necessarily. Like if I just heard one of these songs, I don't know that it would have stuck with me. But playing through this experience of this game album, I then went and, you know, after a couple of days of absorbing it and like loving the music, I bought the vinyl and I bought the game physically when I Am 8-Bit
Hell
had
yeah.
those things available. And now since then we've listened to the vinyl in our house, and like Fiona loves it and Tina loves it, and it's like it's
The
awesome.
music is just amazing.
It's great.
Man. It's like I've been humming those. It's probably been almost a week since I played it last, and I am
Yeah.
humming those tunes incessantly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's cool too is like, I don't know if you've tried it, and I have not, but there seems to be a mode that's like an album mode that's like,
oh yeah.
you play through the whole game
Mm-hmm.
without the breaks in between songs, and I would definitely be curious to try that. I definitely remember Rami Ishmael from Flambeer
Yeah.
tweeted about that, like, oh, I wish like the Switch version is the best version because like after you beat it, like playing the album version is the way that the game should be played. So I haven't tried that. And then there seems to be another mode too that like if you get gold on every level, there seems to be another album that you can pick. In that album mode, there's a second thing you can pick.
What?
That says get gold on every level, and then you can play this to unlock it. So, I've been going back and again, I've gotten like maybe the first 5 or 6 levels I've gotten gold, but like some of the tracks are more like interlude. Again, if you're thinking in the sense of an album, they're more like interlude tracks, like minute or two long at the most. Kind of just these tertiary levels in between others, but like some of them are pretty long, So, for example, like some levels you might get 10,000 points or 15,000 points, and that'll get you a gold rank. And then some levels you need to get like 100,000 or 60,000. Just because they're longer levels,
or it's like a fully structured song with like 3 chorus, parts.
Yeah, like full movements and again, I just can't stress enough how into those songs I was, despite being like, I know they were very, like I was reading a little bit about it, like I guess they were really heavily influenced by like Carly Rae Jepsen, which is something I don't personally listen to. But I guess I can sort of hear it, but they're catchier than that. I don't know, like I don't know if it was just the experience of playing the game with the music alongside it, but man, I love those songs.
Me too.
I've gone onto Spotify and listened to them multiple times. I've sent them to friends, like you got to check this out. And definitely like a couple of friends that I think would like this kind of game, like. You got like John, for example. This is like right up his alley.
I agree.
Like we got to definitely push this one on John.
I completely
agree. Maybe for our anniversary episode next week we'll spring this one on him, but we'll get to that next week.
Yes, don't listen to this, John, so you can be surprised.
Well, before we wrap up, unless you have more to say, but before we wrap up on the game aspects of Sayonara Wild Hearts, what do you think of the vinyl? Like, what's the whole deal with that? Is it like a multiple disc? Is it some kind of color deal? Are you happy you picked it up?
Yeah, it is. It's 2 LPs, and I'm definitely happy I picked it up because, like I said, I just love the music just as an album. Although I will say I'm a little disappointed in the pressing, if I can get vinyl nerd for a second, because I have I have a large vinyl collection. But on the first album with A-B, like the middle part, the middle sticker is off center. And I'm like, come on, guys, no. And it's sold out.
Pressing,
so I don't think they can get me a
But the audio, though, no issues on the audio.
No, all the tracks are there. We can still play it. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. But like part of the physical ownership is like,
it's just us being like, hey man, if it's a collector's edition, what are you sending me this smashed up box for? It's a collector's edition. Same
type of vibe. So like that's just like, it's minor. Like I'm still so happy we own it. And like otherwise they use kind of like a foil type of thing, so it has a cool like reflective thing going on the actual outer
like sleeve or whatever.
So they did a nice job with it, and I'm like, again, just so glad to own any piece of media related to that physically, because I feel that passionately about it.
Yeah. Do you know if that's something that's available still, the record, or is that something that was probably sold out?
I looked, and both the record and the physical game are sold out, at least on I Am 8-Bit. I don't know what type of agreement they have, if they could reprint or
right, or if
whatever,
it's on eBay or something. So you can find it, but you're going to have to do a little digging, most likely.
Secondhand market stuff.
All right. Well, sorry, suckers. Randall beat you to the punch, and you're out of luck on the Sayonara Wild Heart stuff, including myself. I'm out of luck as well, but what you're not out of luck services on is having the experience. Yeah,
yes.
You can still download the game. And again, I think if you're curious and you haven't, if you don't have an Apple Arcade subscription, with Apple Arcade, you can play that on your Mac, you can play it on your iPhone, you can play it on your iPad, you can even play it on your Apple TV. So if you have any of those platforms, most of these games are available to play. And again, it's only $5 a month for Apple Arcade, and I don't have this, but I definitely, it's something that I've considered picking up an Apple TV.
I've looked too.
To just there's a ton of cool games on there, and like some unique stuff that for $5 a month. I mean, come on, that's the price of a full AAA retail game a year, $60 a year.
A Choo Choo Rocket game on there, and that's always kind of like, huh.
Yeah, and there's like that What the Golf game, and again, this game again, if you don't have it, this game is like $15. Yeah. I think it's like 13 or something, but like it's some random price. But like again, that's 3 months of your Game Pass subscription, and it's covered.
Although I think this is worth buying on its own. Ultimately,
agreed. I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to own this, and like when I'm going for these gold rankings, the thing I'll say is like, okay, I'm playing the same song over and over. It can get slightly repetitive.
Sure.
But even still, it doesn't bother me. Some of the longer ones, I'm like, you have to nail the levels so well that it's like, okay, I'm going to have to save those for last maybe.
Yeah.
But like, man, the music does not get old even when you're replaying levels, at least for me.
The last thing I'll say is some of those tracks, and I saw this in a review too after I was like geeking out about it so much, and I'm like, do other people, like, I know it seems like Kevin feels this way, like, do other people think this game was as good as I think it is? Like, yes, like there was a review I saw where it's like they called out one of the tracks, I can't remember, it's like the 4th track, and said like, in an alternate universe, this is a track that could be on the top of like the actual pop charts and like nobody would blink. And I feel the same way. Like the music is that well crafted and catchy that it would not surprise me if it like charted in real life, essentially.
Agreed. Although I will say that like it doesn't have any kind of like dumbed down quality to it. Like it, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something about when you say like radio. Pop music, like you're just kind of thinking like, oh, Katy Perry, and like Katy Perry's got some catchy songs. I mean, I like California Girls and this and that. Like she's got some catchy songs, but like it has, and I think I threw out Carly Rae Jepsen earlier, but like it has like an element of that, but it's definitely more musically interesting than that. I think like there's more like. There's occasional like chords that kind of throw you. There's some like dissonance going on and like, or dissonance.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know,
really
there's a little more to it. Even though they're like very immediately catchy tracks. Like I kind of almost anticipated being less into the vocal tracks.
Yeah.
Or the tracks that had vocals on them.
Right.
And like I found myself as I played the game, like, give me some more vocals.
Totally.
Like, when's the next long track coming up? Like I want more of this like catchiness. Like I just want to suck on that sugar.
Yeah.
And
for real. They're great.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess moving along from there, so after I played Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I guess since we were talking about the vinyl, ironically enough, I went on to play some Ape Out, which kind of we talked about previously on the podcast. I think it was one of our games of the month back when we thought that was a good idea. And we had a little more, I shouldn't say we had more time on our hands, because now that we're locked down under quarantine, we got plenty of time. But but Ape Out, was something that really grabbed me, and I almost got all the way through the experience, or at least through the normal mode. I think there's some kind of hard mode as well. But the levels are kind of broken up into LPs, and like each LP is broken up into side A and side B, and there's about 4 levels on each one. And this is kind of like a top-down action game. If you haven't seen it, super stylistic. The artwork's done by Bennett Foddy, who's a somewhat famous indie game designer. I forget, Gabe Cazillo, I think, did the game design, and then I forget who did the soundtrack. But it's one of those games where like, it's almost entirely like drum based soundtrack. There's a little bit of like trumpets and some other stuff going on, but like jazzy drums with every time you like, kind of Hotline Miami-esque gameplay and like twin stick shooter controls, sort of.
Yeah, kind of similar mood that way too, I would say, to some degree.
Yeah, a little bit like violent. Or I shouldn't say a little bit, but some
quite
nice big blood splatters. Although like it's so stylish that it's like not like, it's not like, oh man, this is like kind of grossing me out in a way, or at least not for me.
But it's also not something I would play in front of my daughter necessarily.
Correct.
Even though it's stylized, it's like, oh, this is pretty visceral too.
Visceral is a great word. I mean, the game feels so kinetic and so. It's got such a great, I think when I talked about it, or when we talked about it on the podcast last, I kind of compared it to like running back a kickoff in football, or like running, following your blockers, because it is semi-procedurally generated. The levels have like a general structure to them, but they kind of populate each time. And there's an arcade mode that lets you play like a harder, or not a harder difficulty, but like you just have to play through the whole album with one life as opposed to each track.
Jeez. Wow.
But yeah, I just like, I ended up doing a stream of this game for about an hour and played through the first like 3 LPs or the first three worlds or levels.
Yeah.
And even just starting over from scratch, like even the very first level just felt just as fresh as it did the first time we played it. Like I
believe that.
I really love this game. And I saw that there was at least one like hard mode LP that I unlocked that I never got to. And there at least appeared like the normal mode has 4 LPs that you play through.
Yeah.
And I got to side B on the last LP. And then it looks like there's at least the space for there to be 4 hard LPs as well, which I don't know if that's the case. Like,
jeez.
Just because there's room doesn't mean that there's going to be enough levels there.
Right.
But like maybe it's just that one chunk of levels, or that one LP. I don't know. But either way, I haven't played those at all. But just even replaying the levels and then having that arcade mode available.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of just throw another shout out to this game. Because again, I bring this up on the podcast all the time where like these games, even like when Ape Out came out, I would say there was like a tiny bit of fanfare for like, hey, this is like the new kind of hot indie game that's out right now for maybe a week.
Yeah,
or 2.
that didn't last
And then
long.
the next new indie game comes out and it's they just come and go so fast. That like if this game, it's from Devolver Digital, at least as the publisher.
Yeah.
And they throw their games on sale all the time. It's only $15 normally, but I saw it on sale for half off recently.
Yeah.
But even for full price, I just think this is the full package experience. Especially if you're into kind of mechanics driven arcadey stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely really gives that feeling, that sense of momentum. Have you played it all since we talked about it on the podcast last, Randall, or just given it any thought since? I know I mentioned I was playing it, but
that's not a detriment to the game necessarily. It is like
there's
Sayonara.
too much to play.
Yeah. There's too much to play, but like Sayonara, there's not a lot necessarily like this game, and that's to its credit. Like you talking about it again just reminds me of all the reasons why I do like Ape Out and why like, oh yeah, I should fire that game up again. Like the feeling you get playing that and just like the adrenaline rush you get when you're on like in a flow and you've got guys following you and there's snipers in the windows and whatever else, and you just like running for the exits and you're like you got past a section that you couldn't get past before and just like your blood's pumping. It's just not a lot like that game, especially from an indie developer. So yeah, I like that game.
Yeah, and it's just pure like there's not a lot of games that like not only like you're saying like in a general regard, like there's not a lot of games like it, but there's not a lot of games that are just pure reaction.
Yeah.
Like it is all like, am I going to be able to get to that guard before they shoot at me?
Yep.
Am I going to be able to grab that guard with a shotgun? So like one of the main mechanics are like you pretty much can either just shove a guard into a wall or into another guard to kill them, or you can grab them. And when you grab them, it kind of like real quick, you use them as like a human shield, and then you can use like the right stick to aim their weapons so that if they have a rifle, you get one shot. If they have a shotgun, you get one shot, but with like a spread of shotgun spread.
Right.
If they have a machine gun, you get a handful of shots that are kind of sporadic and you can't aim as well.
Right.
But you might hit a few more enemies. But like it is always, it is just that constant like balancing the risk and like I don't know. They're just the gameplay concept of this game. Like again, even the first level is awesome. It didn't lose any of the appeal. Even play, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I got to plow through this tutorial and get to the good stuff. It was like the good stuff is just as soon as you boot up the game, and
it's those visceral moments too, and it's like it chains together those visceral moments. Like there's no, for better or worse, there's like not really a lot of letting up when you're playing this thing. Like you don't get a lot of reprieve. Like you're just you survive this second. Oh, there's another guard. There's another guard. There's another, like just like that.
And it's one of those games where you're just like, one more run, one more try. Let me try it one more time.
Yep.
And again, I did a stream of this, and it was one of those things where I don't know. I a lot of times when I do streams, I don't talk a ton. I wouldn't say I was necessarily talking a ton during this, but I was just kind of like, fuck, oh shit. Yeah. Like I was just so engaged in the situation I was in that I was like, I was just kind of screaming and adrenaline and just so engaged. Yeah. It sucks you into like what's happening in the game. Ape Out is an amazing experience. My buddy Zach had mentioned that he was playing it recently. He was like, "Oh, I heard you guys talking about it on the podcast." I don't know. Again, it was an older episode, so he must have been digging through some older ones. But I saw he was playing it, and again, the Sayonara Wild Hearts thing. Again, that is a way more like rhythm based. It's not like Guitar Hero or anything, but there is a little bit of that. Like you're syncopating your inputs to the song.
Oh yeah, it feels best
this
when
is
you're
like
doing that.
and like Ape Out is more like you're creating the song with your inputs. When you slam an enemy against the wall, there's like a cymbal crash every time, and it's just kind of like this. If you've ever seen the film Birdman, it's like very similar to that, like drum score, where it's just all kind of rhythmic and I don't know, syncopatic, if that's even a word.
Yeah,
but Ape Out is fantastic. I really love this game a lot.
It's great.
So I'm looking forward to finishing it up and maybe checking out the hard mode. So check out our YouTube or our Twitch channel if you want to check out a little gameplay and see if this game's up your alley.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, one more thing that I was planning on talking about tonight was a little Risk of Rain 2, is that's been kind of my just like in this quarantine life. It's been kind of my just like, make a little French press pot of coffee in the morning.
Nice.
And just sip on that while I play, a few runs. And,
nice.
Some people might be able to play a longer run. Like I was talking to DJ the other day. He hasn't beaten it yet, believe it or not. But he was like, "Oh, I played like 100-minute run the other day." And I'm like, dude, I played about 6. I didn't even play for that long, and I died about 5 times. So like this game is insane. I can't even beat the first level a lot of times.
Damn.
It's brutal. It's really obtuse, but I want to wait for John to come back on this one, because I know he's had a little bit of issues with some bugs with the last update, with some like unlockables and stuff like that. So I kind of want to bounce some stuff off him, but him and I have been trying to pester the rest of the band to pick this game up.
Nice.
So we're still playing Risk of Rain 2. They just updated like the PC early access has like the artifacts just got added to the mode, and then there was a new update that just came out on consoles, and then the PC early access is always like about a step ahead.
Sure.
So we'll keep up with that as they keep updating it, but I'm looking forward to those artifacts. They're kind of like game modifier modes. So looking forward to see what they have to offer there.
Nice.
But before we wrap things up tonight, one thing that we're living in the past here. We're recording this episode over Skype. I don't know when Skype was invented or when this came
Long
about,
time
but
ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I am using an iMac from 2009, so I mean, we're
hey man, I'm all the way up to mid 2010 on mine. So
okay, well, so maybe it's just appropriate that we're using Skype. But the other night, I played. DJ invited me to a Euchre tournament, like an online Euchre tournament. Via, I think on the podcast before he's talked about the Euchre 3D app.
Yep.
On iPhone or Android or whatever. So we were using this app under quarantine, and my buddy Dan set up a whole Discord server for this Euchre tournament. So I was like, oh, you know what? I think way back when we were setting up the Pursuing Pixel stuff and just kind of locking everything down, we set up a Discord thing to just kind of temporarily, let's just make sure we have that username and whatever. And set it up and kind of forgot about it. And then when my buddy Dan was like, hey, we're using Discord for the tournament, I was like, okay, I guess I still have an account. And so he had this chat room or this server set up. So like there were like 10 different chat rooms of like, for text chat.
Right.
And then there were actually like, I think there were about 25 to 30 people in this tournament. So he actually had like 8 different chat rooms, like voice and video chat rooms set up under each different table. So like you would look at the bracket that he had posted, and okay, and my next match is on table 4, so I got to jump into the table 4 video chat.
That's great.
And chat, and I was able to catch up with like one of my friends who lives in California now.
Wow.
And but all that said, number one, the Euchre 3D app is great. There's no issue of like, one thing when you're playing Euchre, you always have to kind of follow the suit of whoever led that hand.
Euchre is a card game for those listeners that might not know otherwise.
Yes, a very Midwestern
very
card game
Midwestern
at that. But like the thing again, like we've talked about this on the podcast before, like board games and card games, like if you play them in the digital format, you can't break the rules.
Right.
You can't make a wrong move. You can't misinterpret anything.
Yep.
You can't, if like, when I've played Euchre with friends in the past and in person, you're playing, and then at the end of the turn or the end of the tournament or the end of the hand, you're just playing for fun. I never play it super seriously, but just playing for fun, and it's like, wait, you had that card the whole time? No, you should have had to have played that on the second hand, because like you had to play that diamond, but like maybe somebody new to the game didn't know the rules.
Right.
Like this is actually, to be honest, a great way to learn the rules.
Yeah.
Maybe not in a tournament setting, it was kind of fast paced in that
pressure,
regard.
yeah.
It was definitely. Yeah, for the record, I was partnered with our buddy Ryan, and we lost our first game, and then we moved to the losers bracket, and then we lost that game. So. And DJ and our buddy Rob won the tournament. So
people take Euchre damn seriously. So
it was, dude. I thought I was signing up for like a 10 people tournament.
Yeah,
I was like 30 people. 30 my whole night. I was almost kind of glad we lost both games right off the bat. I was like, okay, at least my nights I can play some. I can play something else. I can play some Sayonara Wild Hearts tonight.
Yeah.
So, but all that being said, though, I was so impressed with like the Discord server and like the setup and everything that. We've been using Google Hangouts, old school. Skype and Google Hangouts has been our old school status. Right. For pursuing pixels to get everything set up and to communicate. And, now that I saw Discord and you can set up all these different threads, we're going to set up things to have like, hey, this is what we're currently playing. And we'll have some private threads for ourselves, but we'll try to set up some public channels for people to use as well. If you want to talk about the stuff we're playing or maybe suggest things that we should check out.
That would be sweet.
Or, we'd definitely love to be into, we try our best to be on top of it, but there's so many games coming out. There's always something slipping past our radar.
No doubt.
We'd love for you to, reach out and let us know if there's something that we haven't talked about or even if there's just something that you, have a thought about something that we mentioned or forgot to mention while we talked about a certain game or wanted to hear our thoughts about a certain aspect of a game. So hopefully we'll get that set up in the coming weeks and have that all ready to go again for our own personal use, but also for everybody else to use. And, again, just one more place that you can find us on the internet, I guess, hopefully.
We will embrace modern technology, I promise.
Yes. Only by force, though.
Yes.
But but no, once you see the brighter side, it's just time to upgrade.
Absolutely. We can do it.
But if you're good to wrap it up there this week, Randall, I think we can pretty much put this one in the can, yeah?
Let's do it.
Cool. Canada. Well, nice. Next week we'll be back with we'll be doing a little bit of an anniversary special, and we're not 100% sure exactly what we're gonna do for that. Yeah. But
we'll keep
John
us on our
Randall
toes.
And I will be back, and we'll be figuring that out in the meantime.
Yes.
And until then, you can find us on YouTube and Twitch. We've been doing a little more videos than usual on there, but more primarily we're on Instagram and Twitter. You can just look up Pursuing Pixels, and then podcasts every Monday. We have a new episode, and you can find that at pursuingpixels.com or just anywhere you find podcasts. Just look up Pursuing Pixels. Absolutely. And I've been forgetting to mention lately, but you can also email us at pursuingpixels
do that
at gmail.com.
Yes.
But hopefully if we get this Discord thing all set up, we can just forego the email. You can just drop us a line right on Discord. So we'll see. So if you have any suggestions on that end, please let us know, because we're figuring that out as we go. And I can't emphasize that enough. So hopefully you're all doing well, staying safe, taking care in all these crazy times. And until next Monday, we'll catch you then. Take care.
Bye-bye. The toe jam and roll thing was the last time that happened, and it was still okay, so I can manage.
Toe jam. My cousin just texted me the other day. He was like, "Hey, is that toe jam and earl game any good?" I was like, if you don't have the nostalgia for the games, I would. If you didn't play it as a kid, I wouldn't recommend getting it.
Yeah,
I don't hate it or anything, but I didn't. I wasn't like getting like oh yeah, this is awesome,
Tina and I have such like a fond connection to that game. Specifically that first one, but there's a lot of jank in that new release that they needed to patch out, and they've still patched it to their credit, and I haven't tried it since the last patch. But
I was gonna say I saw they've patched it, and I definitely haven't played it since. But
yeah, it's a bit rough out the gate.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, we had a tough time playing that one time.
Maybe if it was on discount. But
yeah. Well, it was on sale for like $5 or something, or like I still told him no.
If he had someone else to play with that would like not take it too seriously for $5, I could see it. But yeah,
I don't think he would. The only person would be me, and I'm not playing that with him. So,
Aw.